Hi and good afternoon. It's been a while. I did a video since the lockdown. I haven't done any video, so this is the first one. I'm going to be starting a series that I have currently titled Book Summaries. It may change as time goes on. I do a lot of summarizing of books that I read, and I realized that I have so much of them locked up, and it's benefited me, but I feel it could benefit somebody else, and it could help people to make decisions on whether or not to buy a particular book or not. These are books that have inspired me. I will also do some summaries on some books that I've read and they're like, oh, you know what, this one, it's not correct. I will give you my own opinion. It's left to you to decide whether or not it's something that you would want to read. You know that I am, for people who know me and been following me, I'm very particular about personal development. I'm very keen on anything that makes you better than who you are, and I call myself the voice that remains in your ears to remind you of the greatness that is in you. So that is what I'm here to do today, to share with you on this book that is titled The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari by Robin Sharma. For people who are in the personal development space, it's a book that I'm sure quite a number of people would have read. But for those who are just thinking, okay, which book can I read again? Okay, let me even see what this woman is talking about. This is a book that I feel that anybody who is particular and is passionate about self-development, becoming better, aspiring to be more than who they currently are, is a book that I feel that you should read. It's written by, like I said, by Robin Sharma, and it's written like a story. It's not just like point that is so crowded and then you'll be. It's not like an academic read. It's a story, and I will be giving you a brief summary of the book and just talking about maybe a particular part that stood out for me, so that even if you haven't gotten the book yet, at least from this video you can take something out of it, because that is what I believe that's my life calling, to show people things that will help you to be better than where you currently are. And without wasting time, I'll quickly cut the chase and then tell you about a few things that I benefited when I read this book. When I read this book, I picked out 50 points, but I'm not going to share the 50 points here. If I do a live video, I may be able to talk about it so that we have more time for that. But for this one, I'll just talk a bit about some things that stood out for me in this book. This book helps you to master your mind. Your mind is the bedrock of everything that happens in your life. So if your life is going in a direction that you are like wondering what is going on, you're not sure, you have to master your mind. You have to master your mind. Before I go into that, let me tell you a brief gist about what led to this master your mind thing. It's about a lawyer, his name is Julian, who has been on the fast lane. When somebody is on the fast lane, it means the person is walking back to back, is making serious bucks, living the supposed life, but not really living a fulfilled life. He was on the fast lane. He's a lawyer, successful, very, very popular. But at the time, he had a heart attack. And as he had a heart attack, he didn't die, but he came out of it. And that was like a wake-up call for him. For some of us, childbearing may be the wake-up call, and you realize that, wow, life and death too. Some life and death situations actually are wake-up calls for people. So he had a wake-up call, and he decided to leave his legal profession and decided to go to one mountain in Asia. And he met with those people they call the sages of Savannah. And they are people that they live they are monks who live very, very strange but beautiful lives. And he learned from them for a few years and then decided to come back to the city to share the story with his friend John, which he also planned to also share the story with so many people, the things that he has learned from the sages of Savannah. Going back to where I stopped about mastering your mind, the book addresses the mind as the garden of your soul, the garden of you. And the way you take care and tend for this garden is what determines what comes out of your life. He came back from that his sojourn, and his friend John did not recognize him. His friend John, they were both lawyers together, and the friend John did not even recognize him because, number one, he had lost weight, he looked younger, he was totally looking different from the person who had the heart attack, and he sounded different. Julian had to actually introduce himself for John to realize that, oh, I'm actually talking to somebody I knew before. So what am I trying to bring up from there? There is no time of your life that you cannot take a decision. There's no time that is too late for you to make a decision to have a U-turn and have drastic change. This man was in his 50s, but by the time John was seeing him like 3 years after, or whatever period that the book depicted, he was looking like somebody in his 30s, so he couldn't recognize him. So what am I trying to say at this point? There's no point of your life that it is too late for you to make a U-turn. He made a U-turn and he met with the sages of Savannah, and the things he learned from the sages of Savannah is what he chronicled in his conversation with John, which is written like as if it's John that wrote the book and said this is what his friend said, and this is what transpired. Master your mind. This thing stood out for me when I read this book. Mastery of your mind. If you cannot master your mind, you are not ready to master life. If your mind is such that you allow any rubbish to enter, anyhow conversations, you realize that your life will just be reflecting those things in different dimensions. So he gave an example of a garden. He gave a story which I wouldn't really go into. The story was just for John to be able to understand the lessons he learned from the sages of Savannah about the mind being a garden. And a good gardener will tend for his garden by not allowing rubbish to drop in it. If you allow the wrong manure on your garden, it can destroy the plants or the flowers or whatever you have planted in it. And that is the way the mind is. Our mind is supposed to be well cultivated in such a way that our lives begin to reflect the content of good nurturing. So we cannot play with the place of our mind in living a radiant life. Another thing that stood out for me here is about focus. The Bible says, if your eye be single, your body will be full of light. It's talking about the power of focus. In this digitized, distraction-full age that we're in, it is difficult to maintain focus for more than 10 minutes. For some, even 5 minutes is a chore. And he talked about the fact that mental mastery, concentration, is at the root of mental mastery. And until you are able to gain mental mastery, you are not ready to live a life of exception. People who are living exceptional lives have been able to master the art of concentration, and it is more difficult in this our age and time, but it's something that we need to master if we must live lives that radiate passion, that radiate peace, and that radiate purpose. Those three things stood out for me in this book: passion, peace, and purpose. If you are able to embrace the things that he wrote concerning the mind, you would begin to radiate these three things clearly in your life: passion, peace, and purpose. Concentration, going back to what I was saying, concentration is at the root of mental mastery. Then in the course of the book, in chapter 9, he talked about 10 rituals that are required for you to live a radiant life. That is where I will stop my book summary, and then you can decide whether or not it's something that you want to delve into, to either purchase the book online or a hard copy, and then get the content of the book into your mind and to your soul, and then begin to live a radiant life. He calls it the 10 daily rituals for a radiant life, and I'm going to be picking them one after the other. I have practiced this thing in my life for months, and I see tremendous change. People who knew me some years ago and seeing me on this video would agree with me that I'm not the same Ife that people knew before, because I have practiced these things over and over, and I realize that it is not for me only. I need to share this thing with the world for people to benefit from it, and then to make much more out of their lives than what they are playing in. So without wasting time, I'll go into the 10 rituals and then I'll wrap it up here. The first ritual for living a radiant life is the ritual of solitude. Ability to ensure that in your daily schedule you have a period of peace, a period that you can set aside, and it is best in the mornings. So I'm amazed when I see people wake up in the morning and the first thing they do is to pick their phones and begin to call or begin to check social media. I mean, you have disrupted your day. Learn to create the period of solitude where you have peace, quiet. Allow your brain to be able to reset with your consciousness. You are not distracted. You'd agree with me that it is difficult to get 5 minutes of full concentration, except probably if you're in church or something and you know that, okay, because many people are constantly bombarded. Your phone notifications keep doing pum, 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 pum. And then that solitude, that's the time for refreshing and renewing your mind, is lost. The second ritual he talked about is the ritual of physicality, which we also call exercise or aerobics, or doing something that keeps the body active. He said that you need to take time every single day to nourish the temple of your body through vigorous exercise. As you take care of your body, so you take care of your mind. So if you are not taking good care of your body, you are inevitably not taking care of your mind, because this body is the one that would make you to accomplish the things that you are struggling for. So if you don't take good care of this body by getting it active, getting your blood flowing, getting your limbs active, a time will come then you now start using walking stick at age 60. No, we should start it now. For those of us that are young, this is a good time to start if we've not been active physically. Another ritual he talked about is the ritual of live nourishment, that is taking foods that are healthy, ensuring that in our daily meals we have at least something that is live, that keeps us healthy. It says live foods are the foods that are not dead. A poor diet has a pronounced effect on your life. It drains your mental and your physical energy. So when we don't eat proper food, when we don't eat well, or when we eat junk, it will affect our ability to even concentrate. It will affect our ability to be able to focus. It will affect our ability to be able to allow our minds to think on good things, because we will just keep thinking of eating rubbish. So when we eat live food, it helps our body to be rejuvenated and our minds to be able to think clearly. The fourth ritual he talked about is the ritual of abundant knowledge. It centers around the whole notion of lifelong learning and expanding your knowledge for the good of yourself and those around you. Like what I'm doing now. As I've gained this knowledge, I'm sharing it on this platform for you to benefit from. So the ritual of daily knowledge is something you cannot run away from. Yes, you may say, this thing is not easy to read. Before I hit the road, before I get to work, your case will be like the case of somebody who keeps driving and says, I don't have time to buy petrol. When the tank of the petrol finishes, there's nobody that will tell you before you take your jerry can and go to filling station and buy fuel. So what am I trying to say? We must allocate time daily to accumulating knowledge. At least 15 to 30 minutes. It may be a chapter or two of a book. Keep our knowledge refreshed. Keep your knowledge base refreshed. Another ritual that he talked about is the ritual of personal reflection. Personal reflection here, it talks about, it's nothing more about the habit of thinking. This is different from solitude. This is the time when you think about what you're doing. Think about how you operated today and think about how to make it better tomorrow. I practice this a lot. I don't even wait till evening. Sometimes I do something, I'm like, no. Tomorrow I shouldn't do like this. Or when I have this kind of scenario, it keeps me constantly improving on who I am. I'm sharing this so that you can work on yourself. It is important for you to realize that for you to live a life that is radiant, a life of impact, you need to practice daily self-reflection. Another ritual he talked about is the ritual, he calls it here, ritual of early awakening. That is waking up early. For me, I'm an early person. I'm a morning person. And for people who are not morning persons, it is going to be a bit of work. But the truth is, when you wake up with the sun, that is when the sun is rising, that is when you are up. You are able to optimize and make the best of your day. So the ritual of daily awakening, of early awakening, is something that we cannot run away from, because your most productive hour, it has been proven scientifically that your most productive hours is the hours between the time is like 5 hours between the time you wake up, 5 hours from the time you wake up. So if you are not able to get things done within 5 hours, if you are somebody that wakes up like 7 o'clock or 7:30, the time to get to work is already taken. So you don't have that chunk of time. But if you're able to wake up like 5 a.m. or 4:30, depending on where you're staying, and you're able to at least practice some of these things within an hour or two, you discover that you have been able to invest productivity into your day and into your life. Remember, I said your good week is made up of good days, and good days are made up of good hours, and good hours are made up of good minutes. So when you're able to invest into your early hours, it affects your entire day. The next ritual he talked about is the ritual of music. For we that are Christians, I listen to a lot of praise and worship music. I listen to a lot of things that music that gives me hope, inspiration. I also sing myself, and music has a way of affecting your psyche. Whether you agree with me or not, music is life. Music is life. I wouldn't go too much into this, but there's so much on it in this book that I would like you to read when you get to chapter 9 of this book. Another ritual I talked about is the ritual of the spoken word. What are you speaking out of your mouth? Are you speaking life, or are you speaking death? The Bible says death and life are in the power of the tongue. He talked about the spoken word. He didn't talk about it based on scripture or Bible, but I as a Christian decided to look at it. Okay, his spoken word. What we speak from our mouth determines what comes out of our life. And how can you speak right if you are not feeding your mind right? So you see the ritual of knowledge. You see how these things put together. The ritual of getting more knowledge, constant learning. It comes out at this point where it affects your speech. Because when you speak right, it shifts your life in the right direction. Another ritual he talks about is the ritual of congruent character. That is constantly assessing your character. There's so many things that make up our character. The way we talk, the way we relate, the way we behave. Everything that has to do with your character is something that we need to assess on a constant basis if we must live a radiant life. To say that this is the way I am and this is the way I will continue to be is a fallacy. You will not go anywhere by that. You cannot make tremendous impact by remaining the same way you were. You need to keep assessing it. If there's something that is working, keep improving on it. And if it's something that you see that is not working, adjust it. He said, so he talked here about what are the type of things that I can do to build your character. There are different virtues that stand out here. We're talking about hard work, compassion, humility, patience, honesty, courage. Living a life of constantly assessing these points of your life leads you to spiritual success. Whether you're a Christian or Buddhist or Muslim or whatever, when you constantly pay attention to these key areas of your life, are you patient? Are you honest? Are you truthful? Do you have integrity? Are you compassionate? Are you humble? All those areas, when you begin to work on them constantly and continuously on a daily basis, you begin to improve on them. But if you don't access them, you can't improve on them. And lastly, he talked about the ritual of simplicity. That is to live a life of simplicity, a life of not accumulating unnecessary material things. I might say material things are bad. No. But you realize, if you go and check your wardrobe today, you realize that out of your maybe 10 or 15 shoes, there are only 5 that you constantly use. Have you thought about it? Out of your full wardrobe of maybe 200 clothes, there are maybe like 10 that you use regularly. So that is to tell you that those other ones, while we hold on to them and think that we can't do without them, you actually can do without them, because there are some of them that you haven't used for the past 5 years. And they are already there. They are constantly there. Live a life of simplicity. Pick the things that are essential. Give away the things that are not essential. If personal development is your turf and is what you are passionate about, I'll recommend that you get this book. It helps you to be able to articulate the things that are essential for you to be able to live a life of impact. You owe the world to live to your fullest. We owe the world to live to our full potential. We cannot afford to pass through life without leaving our mark in the sand of time. There's a deposit in you that is not in anybody in the world. There's something in me that is not in anybody in the world. We need to fan it to flame and let it become something that will benefit humanity. There's no two people that have the same thumbprint. That's to tell you there's something unique about you. There's something unique about me. And I've decided I'm not going to keep quiet anymore. You may not be a speaking person, you may be a writer. You may not be a writing person, but there's something about you that the world needs. Don't die with it. We need to fan these things to flame. This book will set you on the path. Without wasting more time, I'm going to be wrapping up here by reminding you that there's greatness in you. There's greatness in you. There's greatness in you. Don't give in to mediocrity. Don't give in to an average life. There's much more that you can do than what you're doing now. I hope this book, this summary has benefited you, and I hope I didn't suck at my storytelling skills. I hope it was interesting. You know, this is my first time of doing this summary, and I'm going to be doing much more of it. For every book that I have read, I'm going to be doing videos of summarizing them, and I'm going to be posting them on YouTube and on my social media handles. Please support this channel. Like this video. If it has benefited you, share it with somebody. Julian in this book shared it with John. Shared the lessons he learned with John so that John can share with other people. What is the use of life if you keep this thing to yourself and not allow other people to benefit from it? So share this video with somebody. Click the like button. If you have not subscribed, subscribe and put on the notification bell so that whenever I post another video, you'll get to see it. Thank you for joining me on this 20-minute video on the monk who sold this Ferrari. Hopefully I'll do another video maybe by next week, and then I'll post it. Thank you so much for staying with me, and I wish you a very lovely day. Bye.